weekend. That's the work that we're doing. And today, we wanted to make sure that all the working families could come, and I see a lot of them that came through to be able to ensure their safety. You should be very wary. COVID patients are still in the hospital. COVID patients are still in the hospital. And in addition, people are still dying from COVID. The numbers have not gone down so substantially that we should not be concerned. So I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to speak about some other issues in a moment, but I want to have the Chief Communications Officer, Public Relations Officer, Junie Ibram, to come forward at this time.
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Thank you for always supporting this facility here, this medical institution that has been in the Acres Homes community for so many years. We want to thank our other partner, Community of Faith Church, Sister Tanya Dixon, who's here with us. They're always here working with us because they're an anchor in this community. UMMC is here. It serves this community. That's why today is a love day in Acres Homes community. It's this hospital extending love, care, and treatment to the entire community as well as other communities. So we are here every day. We're here for testing, we're here for vaccination, we're here for full service hospital care and treatment. We're not going anywhere. We serve this community. We just thank our dedicated, tireless, fearless Congresswoman who stands with us and by us and for us each and every day, because this is our constituent, and this is what our Congresswoman does every day. She serves her community, she serves the 18th District, she serves the city of Houston, and as far reaching as she can go, the world, because I know some of you saw her on TV, reaching out to Ukraine to make sure those people are not forgotten. So we thank all of you who have come out today. We thank Wall Street Bank, we thank HPD and everybody, and the dedicated staff of UMMC.
Yes.
Noemi Longoria, thank you for all that you did today. Felicia Lawrence, thank you so much because you both made it all happen here. I take myself out of it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Well, we know that we've got a lot of friends. I'm delighted that we have former council member and veteran Ben Reyes. Give him applause. He's here today. He came out representing the community. And a faithful doctor of this hospital, Dr. Mayo, who has been here for the years that I've known him, for decades, delivering good medical care to this community and making sure that no one is without care. To our nurses and staff here, thank you for your faithfulness. I think it's important to note UMCC is open. They're serving patients, and they're taking care of COVID patients as well. And they're still testing, and they're still vaccinating. And one of our real strong partners is Community of Faith, and a great, wonderful community spiritual leader is Tanya Dixon, and I want her to come forward now. Thank you so very much for your work.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and to the Honorable Ms. Dooney, who I have just absolutely adored partnering with in our partnership with the UMMC. Thank you for having us and inviting us in to join forces together. You know, love is what love really looks like. If a person wants to know whether they're loved or not, they're loved, or they measure it by what they see and what they feel. And today, UMMC has given us a portrait of love and a feeling of love. Let's give it up for UMMC. Yes. On behalf of Bishop Dixon, the Community of Faith Church, with whom, to whom I am representing, the Compassion and Action Ministry and team, we want to say simply, we love you. We love you, children. And there's a saying that says, children learn what they live. If we want to stamp out the hatred and the anger and the hostility and the wickedness and the evil in this world, we do that by teaching and living love amongst our children. So remember, children really do live what they learn. Let's live in love. God bless.
Thank you so very much. I think the breaking news is that the hospital continues to serve our community and continues to make an impact on the children that I'm seeing here and certainly the COVID patients that continue to come through the door. Let me take just a moment to acknowledge a very important announcement that the President made on Friday. As a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee, I will certainly be part of the messaging for the final confirmation that should happen very quickly of Judge Brown Jackson, one of the most qualified individuals to ever have been appointed to the United States Supreme Court. It is worth noting that Judge Brown Jackson probably has even greater credentials than some of the persons on the Supreme Court. And yes, she is, since 1789, since the beginning and the writing of the Constitution, the first African-American woman that has ever been appointed or nominated to the United States Supreme Court. She should be a judge on her credentials, and I would caution those who want to throw mud, who want to demean and undermine, because you will find little to champion regarding her credentials. She is one of the few trial judges that will be ascending to the Supreme Court if she is confirmed. She'll be the only and first public defender who has worked with the people of this community and this nation that has ever ascended to the United States Supreme Court. Yes, she is a double Harvard graduate, but she is a double Harvard graduate and a friend of the people. And so her credentials speak for themselves. She is now on the Court of Appeals. When she was confirmed in the United States Senate, she was approved and voted on by Democrats and Republicans. And so anyone that wants to take her record to task is just doing it to continue the divide between our nation. We should look to the best qualified and the most ready to ascend to the United States Supreme Court. It is Judge Brown Jackson. I will look forward to working with the team to ensure that her message is in fact given to the nation. And let me say this about her. In her remarks, she said she loves America. She loves the laws of the land. That makes her a true patriot. She understands how laws are to be, in essence, reviewed by a court. That a court does little to change the laws, but interprets the laws fairly to the needs or the community of which you are judging. And so I have faith as an African-American woman, and a great sense of pride, a great sense of honor, and a recognition that America's red, white, and blue flag represents all of us, not just one aspect of our nation, but all of us. That is what the appointment of Judge Brown Jackson should represent. Shouldn't we all be excited about the idea of her expertise, her judicial temperament, and her patriotism and love of the law being now a permanent fixture on the United States Supreme Court? I look forward to her confirmation. Let's do it quickly, let's do it fairly, let's do it justly, and let's let the world see what America really stands for. I just spoke yesterday about Ukraine, just came back from the region on Friday evening, and I want to repeat several points and then acknowledge that there have been some action. First of all, people are still dying in Ukraine as we now speak. There are thousands fleeing to the border. Almost close to 300,000 will probably head into the border. Kyiv is the capital of Ukraine. There are 3 million people there. But Russia is mounting a campaign, a vicious war in cities surrounding Kyiv. And here we have people who are holed up, hiding, trying to protect women and children, but the men using whatever arms they can have. One Ukrainian said, "I'm not good with guns, but I've got a kitchen knife, and I'm going to use it." These are people that are fighting for democracy. And so I want it to be very clear, people are dying in Ukraine as we speak at the hands of the viciousness of Putin, whose war this is, who is driving his own soldiers, many of whom do not have food, many of them do not have a logistical direction. They're running out of food, they're running out of direction as to how they should be operating. And in the course of this confusion, Ukrainians are dying. And so I think it is important for us to go back to Washington. Again, I'm hoping to have this resolution on the floor of the House to denounce this war, to indicate that airline traffic should stop into Russia and out of Russia, to condemn Putin's actions as a war criminal. He is a war criminal because he is killing women and children indiscriminately. And I don't think anyone should be shy of calling Vladimir Putin a war criminal. Now, we are calling for peace. We do not use harsh words to suggest that peace is not still possible. The harsh words are used because they are true, because Putin had no reason, no basis to attack a democratic country like Ukraine, who posed no threat, no present-day threat to Russia or any of its satellites. In fact, it is one of the better neighbors in the Baltic region. And so he is a war criminal. And I believe that ultimately, even with peace, he should be brought up on charges at The Hague. But we are glad to hear, and I am applauding, that President Zelensky and Putin will possibly have conversations on the Belarus border. That is where I was, on the Belarus border with Lithuania. I was there, of course, to continue to press for peace and to recognize the importance of NATO, and also to bring you greetings from members of the United States military who are in the NATO countries, and I know this will make you happy. There were Houstonians that I saw. One of them was a graduate from Fur High School right in our neighborhood, and I was very proud to greet them and meet them and to thank them for their courageousness in being where the President has sent them without selfishness. So we thank them for the work that they're doing. But in the next day, maybe as we are speaking, I want to encourage the meeting between President Zelensky and Putin. I would hope that Putin, again, would shackle himself from the number of lies about Nazism and genocide, and that this is a humanitarian effort, and basically resolve his differences, of which Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, does not have. And for NATO to encourage and embrace Zelensky, give him the support he needs to be able to help resolve this conflict, so the people of Ukraine can come home, the families can be united, and the bloodshed can stop. The soldiers have been lost. They have lost a number of their treasure. As they continue to fight, they've lost civilians, innocent civilians, and as they continue, more loss of life may occur. I want to go back to Washington, pushing for the peace talks, but also reminding that this war should be denounced on the floor of the House with a resolution that has been introduced by myself, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and Congressman Steve Cohen, who chaired our delegation to the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe. We left behind individuals that were still attempting to speak to the Russians about this. Every time I'm before the microphone, I want to pay tribute to my fellow parliamentarian, Mitka Portorai. I hope I got his name right. He is from Ukraine. He was with us in his last statement to us that he was going home to fight. He was going home to fight and to join his son. His son was going to join up the very next day that he was with us, 26 years old. And this parliamentarian was going to take 17 hours to get back to Ukraine. And he said, when we asked him what is he going to do, he's going to fight. Just think of being in our neighborhoods and foreign powers were attacking us because we love democracy. So I want to finish on that point, but I just want to make sure, because when people hear those of us in the United States Congress have the responsibility for the nation, I have to care about Mexico, I have to care about Central America, I have to care about India, I have to care about Africa, I have to care about Canada, I have to care about Europe, because that's what we do in the United States Congress. We are the most powerful lawmaking body in the world, and we represent the United States both in domestic and foreign affairs. But I want to make that clear because we are struggling here in Houston, and I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are fighting to bring down inflation. We know the cost of living has gone up. We haven't forgotten that. We also want to make sure that health facilities like UMMC stay open and that Medicaid is expanded to all of our Houstonians. And finally, we have been plagued by gun violence. We are sickened by gun violence. We have gun violence taking grandmothers and 9-year-olds and taking families. We haven't forgotten that. And so we're going to be working with local jurisdictions, from the mayor to the police department, as the federal government. We're going to come in and be of help, providing dollars to stop violence. But we have to be able to help in our community. We've got to tell that our young people have to put down guns, because that is not the way to resolve their conflict. We have to tell them that they can't attack grandmothers and go into stores and attack stores and to perpetrate violence and to take loved ones from their family. We can't be on highways and shooting out windows or standing on a road and thinking someone has gotten in a car that robbed you and you're shooting them. You just can't do that. And so you have to understand that the proliferation of guns came from the toxicity of the pandemic, in terms of what happened to people's minds and stress, but it also came from the permitless carry bill that was signed by this government. This bill, which the police officers opposed, from the very signing of it, has triggered the number of guns out on the street. And if you're too afraid to say it, then you're afraid to tell the truth. It is the gun law from the governor and the Republican state legislature that caused us to be in this predicament. So let us say that we won't take it anymore. We're going to be neighbors, and we're going to work with law enforcement, our neighbors, our community, and we're going to say no to gun violence, no to the proliferation of guns, and yes to saving our neighborhood. Is that all right?
Yes, it is.
So I thank you very much for being here today. Glad to see Dr. Nguyen, who is here, who has certainly been a leader in saving this hospital. But now we'll take any questions if there are any questions. All right, then I will say what I have said before. When I was in Ukraine, I learned a new term, and this is the term that they use to be courageous, and they say, let me make sure that I get the term right, because I want to say this in the right way. I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. Freedom yesterday, freedom today, and freedom tomorrow. Freedom yesterday, freedom today, and freedom tomorrow. And then they conclude by saying, Glory to Ukraine. That is what their fighting words are. Glory to Ukraine. We pray for them. We pray for those families as we pray for those in Afghanistan and those families in South and Central America and all over the world as we pray for them to be safe. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.
I can ask you a question?
Yes.
Congresswoman, what do you think about the nuclear alert that Putin is talking about?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked that question. We are a world with a number of nuclear powers. The United States is one as well. I never want to put any of us in danger. But do you realize how desperate someone is to pose a threat that could really end the world as we know it? You really don't play with the idea of a nuclear threat because most of Europe has nuclear power. The United States has massive nuclear power, though we have been trying to de-escalate our nuclear power for a very long time. But we have nuclear power. The only thing I'd say to Mr. Putin, that if he has any decent bone in his body, he knows that a nuclear war will destroy Russia, period. It may destroy other countries as well. I am not wishing for any use of nuclear power. I have been calling for peace. I even said for Mr. Putin to come back to the peace table. But any time you pose a nuclear threat, that means that you're on the level of desperation where you can't fight fair and square, and you know that your war is wrong. So my position is that President Biden and the world leaders on NATO continue to be calm and use the defensive sanctions that they are using to put a heavy burden on Russia financially, to hold the property of the oligarchs that are here in the United States, and to stop any flow of Russians coming into the United States. And I feel for the Russian people, this is not their war. This is Putin's war. This is not their war. The Russian people have been in the streets protesting this war. 3,000 of them are now in jail. That's a lot of people, because that's a country that when they put you in jail, it's no telling when you'll get out. And they are bravely in Moscow fighting against this war. I want to thank them and pray for them as well. But it is important to know that whenever you have that threat being raised, then someone is in dire straits. I hope that we will continue to use the written word, the denouncing of this war. We'll use the encouragement of the peace deliberation. I'm not walking away from peace. And that we'll continue to say to Mr. Putin to calm down. He is the one that initiated this war. No one else did. NATO did not. Ukraine did not. Ukraine has not threatened Russia. They have 44 million people. Their military is far different from Russia. So I'm asking for calmness. I'm asking for peace. But you never throw up a threat of nuclear unless you are desperate. I hope that we can step away from desperation and move toward unification and peace. And that's what I hope we'll see that Mr. Putin will do. Thank you so very much. God bless all of you again, and God bless the United States of America. All righty, you're good, sir? Okay, good. Thank you, Sheila. Good to see you. Yes. Did you need? Okay.
I think so.
Good to see you.